Peanut Gallery Podcast, episode 44. Seth, how's it going, man?
Tell you what, I'm getting into the Christmas spirit because, as everyone knows, Halloween is over,
so it's Christmas time.
Christmas. I don't really like Thanksgiving because I'm not a turkey guy.
So just skip it completely.
Yep.
See, do people get like upset when people decorate for Christmas before Thanksgiving and everything? And I feel like, oh yeah, I should get upset too because Thanksgiving is important, but I'm really not. Like, I love Christmas that much.
Is way better.
And Christmas goes by way too fast to just decorate.
Well, because
for,
you
like,
have Thanksgiving at the end of November, and then it's just Christmas and then New Year's and then you're done.
Move Thanksgiving up? Everyone would appreciate that.
Swap it for Halloween. You don't have to swap it. Replace Halloween. Maybe the day after Halloween.
Yeah, just get Thanksgiving done quickly right after Halloween so that people don't skip over it because it's important, right?
We should start a petition.
We should do a petition because petitions always work.
They're useful. So if we put, all right, so we're putting Thanksgiving where? At the beginning of November, you think?
First Thursday of November, Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And then Christmas. Right after that, it's just Christmas.
I agree.
Staying the same.
See, I was at somewhere, and it already had Christmas stuff out.
Yeah.
Where was I? I don't go money places. I don't know.
Well, they're gonna put stuff out as soon as they can, so that people start buying stuff.
All right, so we're just officially, guys, Thanksgiving first Thursday. Christmas is staying that way. We have a good 2 months.
Yeah, for Christmas.
Yeah, because it already gets cut off so fast at the end because then it's New Year's right after.
Exactly.
So it's like Christmas is already gone. You're in the New Year's. So we got to put it on the front end.
Yeah, so
we
Christmas.
Can build up.
All right, cool.
I'm down.
So we're celebrating the first Thursday of November, which is today that we're recording it. Yesterday, if you haven't heard this. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
What are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for this incredible show that we're about to do, guys. If you didn't already know, this is the Peanut Gallery Podcast. This, of course, is the place that we provide our completely insignificant and unprofessional opinions about the most important and significant topics of the day. I'm your host, Jared, and with me, as always, is Seth, and we're going to move right into what was nuts this week. All right, guys, we are back. We got a lot of stories to cover. One that's actually pretty cool, man. The free market speaking, as usual.
Maybe.
Yeah. But it's, of course, if you've been living under a rock, the NFL has been kind of losing ratings ever since.
No, dude. People love the mixture of politics and sports because they're kind of, it's like Christmas and Thanksgiving, you know? They just go together.
We should make those super political and stuff, too.
Yeah, I agree. So this past week, you had Papa John's come out and say that they're going to be pulling their ads off of the NFL, citing the NFL has been affecting their sales of their pizza.
Yeah. And that's a big deal because Papa John's are they the official?
They've been the official pizza sponsor of the NFL since 2010.
Yeah, so 7 years. I mean,
they caught a little bit of flack at the beginning. I guess what was it, last year now? Because the CEO, John Schneider, I don't know his name. He donated like $1,000 to Trump, and he's been very pro-Trump.
Fire him,
right? So their official statement was that the NFL has hurt us. Okay. We are disappointed the NFL and its leadership did not resolve this. This being the kneeling political crap. Leadership starts at the top, and this is an example of poor leadership, noting he thought the issue had been, quote, nipped in the bud a year and a half ago. So the CEO come out and said, hey, listen, all the politics, the NFL's ratings are dropping. I don't know, like, I can't imagine someone's watching that and then sees a Papa John's ad, and then is like, I'm not having Papa John's.
Yeah.
Seems odd to me that they could, but they showed graphs of them losing sales.
I think what it is not necessarily people saying boycotting Papa John's because they're the sponsor of it, but just less and less people are watching the NFL. So they're like, well, why are we still paying this premium price to advertise to millions of less people week by week kind of thing?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
And you've seen a lot of people come out and said, like, well, they're only doing this because of, like, they're pro-Trump or whatever. It has nothing to do with the NFL losing. I mean, I find it hard to believe that they're not correlated in some way. You also had Pizza Hut come out and be like, well, we haven't seen any effect in sales, so this is bullcrap. And I'm like, but you're not the official sponsor of the NFL. Like, you're not paying a lot more money.
Hut sales
and exactly, Pizza Hut sales are probably like a quarter. Who orders Pizza Hut? No one cares. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting, and it is one of those things where it's like, you have the freedom of speech, right? But it's not the freedom from repercussions. And
absolutely.
We're seeing real world repercussions and declining viewership, declining attendance, and now declining people pulling ads because they just kind of don't want to deal with it. And you mean we have to take them at their word. I think there's no reason for us to think there's anything other than the fact that they have been losing sales.
Yeah, because why wouldn't they have dropped it a year and a half ago when Colin Kaepernick started?
Yeah, I mean, I would just and then I mean, for as far as we know, it's true. I mean, I have no idea how we would even come close to figuring it out, but it's kind of a big deal. I mean, I think that
Absolutely.
sponsors, if more sponsors start dropping the NFL, if we start seeing more now, you're going to see them react very quickly.
Very quickly.
Because it's a business, and sponsors pulling out is losing money.
Absolutely.
Not good.
Do you think that this is going to prompt a response from the NFL Commission at all to do anything or say anything, or do you think it's going to take more than one? I would say more ratings drop and stuff like that.
I think we're going to continue to see them dropping. I mean, you've seen. I don't know what's happening because you're seeing NFL sports drop. You're also seeing like ESPN firing a crap ton of people. I don't know what's going to happen with sports. Like,
I think keeps getting super political, man. I would love for them to just kind of learn from this, get that out of it, and then kind of return to where they are, because they obviously had a successful business model. The NFL was like football was like the most watched thing in American television.
And even when the recession hit, they didn't get hit that much. Like, people still went to games, like
because people still need their entertainment.
They like sports a lot, but they like sports. They don't like political sports, and especially like I'm not a big like a sports guy. I don't watch like ESPN religiously or anything. But like even just having it on, my wife watches it, my brother watches it a lot. Like some of their talk shows that they have on are just garbage. Like they're just talking about the most mundane, dumb stuff and has nothing to do with anything. Or it's super political. I'm like, am I really gonna turn to you guys to get political opinions? Like I just like if you're watching this, you kind of just want sports.
It's like I don't even want to turn to CNN or Fox News for politics.
I don't want to go to
definitely don't want to go to freaking ESPN for it.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of interesting, and if good on them. Like if they did see that. I mean, hit them with where it hurts is the money. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. All right, guys. So this story that we're going to be talking about is a church in Virginia called the Church of Christ. It's been a church in Virginia for centuries now. Because actually, George Washington used to go to this church. Robert E. Lee went to this church as well. And there's been kind of a
little bit of an uproar.
Yeah, a little bit of heat that the church has been getting from kind of both sides now that they've decided this. But there were plaques. I believe there were plaques kind of in the seats where...
I think they were up front, but you could easily see them, and they were there during services.
During the services, during the worshiping, commemorating George Washington and Robert E. Lee, obviously the two people who used to go to that church. And so people were saying that it was distracting for them to worship and go to church there with those plaques there because they were both slaveholders.
Yeah, and they were specifically... a lot of it was called out with Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
And so the church is getting a lot of heat because they've said that they are now moving both plaques, both the George Washington plaque and the Robert E. Lee plaque. And then you saw people on the left side saying, oh, this is great. More like we're getting rid of more people that were slavery out of the way. Yeah. And then you saw the people on the right saying, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we said was going to happen.
Erasing history.
It's being pushed further. Like when like we talked about the Confederate statues. It's like, yes, we understand maybe it's not the smartest idea to have Confederate statues out, but like it is a slippery slope, and we're like, we don't want to say yes to these because they're just going to keep going for things. And it seems like something that is the self-fulfilling prophecy, and that we were right. But if you actually look into it, it's not as black and white. What the church has said was that they wanted to remove the Lee plaque, and because both plaques were put there as a set,
it's kind of like together.
Together. They wanted to remove both if they were going to remove one, because they're both put there at the same time. And so what they were doing, they're just moving to a different part of the church that's not in the sanctuary, still for people to see, and everything. So it's not as like ridiculous, I think, as a lot of people made it out to be, of saying, oh my gosh, they're coming because George Washington's a slaveholder. You did see a lot of people saying that though, like, oh, this is good because Washington was indeed a slaveholder. And it's just, again, like we have to understand, like, putting today's politics in today's society and then putting those morals on people back in history, it's just not a good way to do it. I don't think
it's really hard to judge
people
someone
based on now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. And I think, like you said, it's a different scenario for Robert E. Lee a little bit, but like you're commemorating George Washington for the incredible contribution that he did to the country, right? And everyone sins, everyone does horrible things. Obviously, slavery was terrible, but no, with this issue, I think
to distill Washington down to being a slaveholder is just such a disgrace to what he did and his legacy. And it's like, you really don't understand.
Yeah, you know nothing about history. You know nothing about the founding. You don't know how revolutionary the political philosophy that the founders had at that time was. And to just call him a slaveholder is not respecting him in any ways, or the kind of the incredible country that they created. But honestly, I don't have that much of a problem with it.
No,
I think
if
obviously they can do what they want, but like if they could have left the George Washington one, whatever, but if they're moving it and it's still in the church, if someone likes the statues, they like seeing the plaque, then they can just walk in and go look at it every time before they go into church. If they didn't, then it's not there.
But I don't think it's the end of the world, and whatever. But again, you just saw people capitalizing and only picking the part of the story that fit their narrative. You know? People that were saying, "Oh, the Washington slaveholder," but it was really more about Lee. And the people that were more happy with Lee weren't necessarily talking about how we're bringing Washington as well.
I still don't understand how you can feel unsafe or oppressed by the fact that there's a statue somewhere
or a plaque. Yeah, especially when
I don't. There. But anyways,
people can be oppressed by pretty much anything.
that is absolutely true. So. This last story we're going to talk about is the Republicans actually just today released their tax plan.
So this is the first thing I think they've done since Trump took office.
Yeah, that they've put out. We'll see if it passes. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's actually called the cut bill.
Oh my gosh.
Trump probably named that one.
What to do? It cuts.
Cut. Oh, yeah, exactly.
The person making it had like a stutter, and the person just like wrote it and like, oh, well, I already wrote it.
Yeah, it's like a movie director. Like a scene went horribly wrong. But no, honestly, there's really not that much bad in this. I don't think it changed. I think it's
pretty decent.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely decent. It changed a good bit of things, but it didn't do like a complete overhaul of the tax system.
Like they said they were going to do.
Yeah, and before we get into it, something that's being said is with these are pretty drastic cuts, especially in the corporate tax rate. You're going to definitely have to cut back on spending for this to not blow out the deficit and the debt, at least in the short term.
Does it matter? I mean, it doesn't matter if you blow out the deficit.
Yeah,
we've been doing a great job of doing that for the past couple of years.
That's something that we're really good at.
America.
One in that.
The greatest.
But with that being said, so this tax plan, obviously one of the big things is it cuts the corporate tax rate down from 35% to 20%. Which average corporations in America weren't paying, or not average, big corporations in America weren't paying 35% tax rate.
They barely pay any taxes.
There's tons of loopholes, tons of, they pay these big corporations. These big corporations would spend millions of dollars on tax lawyers and tax evasions to figure it out. But it did hurt smaller, even middle class or middle-sized businesses,
because they can't afford to
find
the loopholes.
Yeah, and they might not qualify for some of these deductions and stuff like that.
Money
that these bigger
offshore
corporations for. Yeah, exactly. So lowering it to 20% really helps them out. So that's a great thing. They minimized there were 7 different progressive tax brackets based on income.
Why is our tax
really
so
confusing?
Freaking complicated?
I would love for there to be a flat tax. I think that makes perfect sense. And a flat tax doesn't mean – I love this argument when you say there should be a flat tax. And it's like, well, no, the rich should pay more than the poor. And it's like, they are. Do you understand how percentages work? 10% of $1 million is way more than 10% of $50,000.
Yeah, and it also goes when like the hatred for rich people nowadays you see, because people are jealous and feel like they've been slighted because someone's more successful. Yeah. And it's like, you understand that they're not only are they giving more percentage-wise, but if they're also a businessman, like they're hiring people, they're employing people, they're paying other people salaries. They're investing in
companies.
Yeah, they're producing the product. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of people don't like when you say this, but the rich people having more money in a capitalist society typically means your economy is booming.
But what if it's a patriarchal society?
Then everyone's oppressed.
It's done. Everyone's done. Yeah, no. So I mean, I agree with flat tax. I also, it seems simple. Like I'm very much dreading taxes coming up, because I'm gonna have to start doing them for me and my wife, and I'm just gonna be like scared. I'm very scared. It's gonna one day just have like a guy coming like, you owe us this. I'm like, I have no idea what I owed. It made no sense.
But yeah, so that's obviously a big one. And a couple other things that they did is they took out some tax deductions for healthcare. Right. So like a lot of times if you had pretty high health expenses and stuff like that, you could deduct that from your federal tax rate. There was also another thing based on children.
Children, they upped the amount you get per child.
Yeah.
There were some weird ones, and some they just took away. There are some elderly rates that they just took away. You can't get deductions on anymore. I mean, it's very complicated, and it's not going to go through how it is. Yeah. It's going to be adjusted if it ever comes
It'll
into
be
law.
Interesting to see if they can actually do something like that. If they can actually pass it, if there'll be enough Republicans to come behind this. Because one thing that typically the Democratic narrative is, oh, you're just lowering taxes on the wealthy, and that's hurting people. But that's not what this is doing at all. Actually, in one tax bracket, if you're making above $400,000 a year, it got raised like 2%. Yeah. So for wealthy people, in some cases, this tax plan actually isn't more beneficial. But for corporations and for people in the lower tax bracket, it is better for them. So that's one thing that Democrats can't really attack on this.
Yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see the pushback that this proposal receives.
Right, and it's frustrating too because you can't. A lot of people are hard to have a discussion with this, especially Bernie supporters who he vilified millionaires, and it's like I agree that the rich should be paying more taxes, but I don't think it's because they're not being taxed enough. I think it's because there's too many loopholes. Like I agree in lowering the tax on the rich, but also cutting off some of those loopholes because I mean if it's like there's been talks about Apple has so much money offshore if they were to bring it in they'd lose like a third, like they'd only end up with a third of it. And it's like that sucks, and I understand why they're not doing that. And if it's illegal for them to do this as a businessman, that's the thing to do, right? But if you could have them bring the money back or just start off the bat not having to pay as much, then they're not going to be as incentivized to use the loopholes to try to keep as much money. And it's like it's frustrating because it's either like the rich need to be taxed. What do you want? 50? What do you want? 90%, Bernie? What was his number? 90%. It's like you want 90%, or you want like they think like the right doesn't want any. It's like no, I want them to be taxed enough, but it's not just the factor of lowering or raising the tax rate. There's also all the deductions, all the loopholes, all the whatever, and it's just very frustrating. And I don't know. I mean, I was reading an article that was talking about this tax rate specifically and saying that it kind of a lot of people it seems like it totes the line on enough where it could be passed and Democrats won't just immediately filibuster it. Yeah, which is good because it needs to get pushed through.
Something needs to happen, dude. Yeah, something. I mean, for Trump's administration, something definitely needs to happen. Because if he doesn't pass anything other than just executive action in his first year, he's going to look really bad, and it's going to make.
I don't think he can do anything to not look
congressional Republicans. It's going to make them look really, really bad.
Don't think they can look much worse.
That is very true. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting. We'll see if it passes. And
lower taxes.
I just think last point on this. I think it's crazy that we're finally down to where really the rest of the Western world is with the corporate tax rate. I mean, you look at the EU and the UK and stuff like that, and their tax rate is like 20%.
Do they get taxed country and then also EU? I don't know how that works. Like we have state and then we have federal. Do they have that as well?
I don't know. Probably. Because tax everything, man.
Yeah. Well, they have to pay for all the
also, it gets rid of the, or it doesn't get rid of it. It like lessens the estate tax like crazy, which I think the estate tax is.
I don't know what the estate tax is.
Super messed up. It's like where if you die and you didn't write in.
Tax?
Yeah, it's the death tax. The fact that someone dies, the state just gets to come in and take half of what they own. That's super messed up.
That they've already been taxed on when they got paid.
Yeah, that they already got taxed on when they got paid and then all that good stuff. But yeah, so that's the tax plan. We'll see what happens. We're going to be following this pretty closely as it goes through the House and the Senate, obviously, and see where that goes. But tell us what you guys think about this tax plan below. Comment down there. We love to see what you guys are saying. And we're going to move right into the main topic. All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to move right into the main topic this week. We have two things that we're going to be talking about. The first thing that we're going to bring up is the terrorist attack that happened in New York City.
A couple days ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was over this past weekend. It was a terrorist. I think it was a 29-year-old guy from Uzbekistan. He drove a truck.
Home Depot truck.
A Home Depot truck?
Yep. Friggin' bad of a publicity for them.
Yeah, not great for Home Depot, man. He drove a Home Depot truck through kind of like a pedestrian walkway. I think it was like a bike path. Mm-hmm. He ended up instantly killed 6 people. Then 2 more died on the way to the hospital. I think he injured 5 or 6 people as well. They're in stable condition. They're not life-threatening injuries, but I mean, you can imagine a truck hitting them. Their life has probably changed forever. Yeah. But I think that obviously this is a problem. The guy we got a motive pretty much right away. Mm-hmm. There were witnesses saying that he was yelling Allah Akbar.
Yeah, that's stupid crap. Though.
Yeah, my Arabic and praising Allah I'm not really fresh
not
on that.
Not really good at that.
Yeah.
And then he jumped out with what it was, a pellet gun.
He jumped off with a paintball gun. Yeah, because I think people were saying he's trying to provoke death by police. Yeah. So he jumped out with what
they didn't kill him though, right?
No, they didn't kill him.
Good.
Yeah. Well, he's in the hospital. Yeah.
It's the son of the Guantanamo.
So hold on. He goes to the hospital. And he requests to put an ISIS flag in his room because he's proud of what he did. A news story was reporting that today.
Can we say no to that?
Yeah, say no to that.
I'm just saying, what would be the legal cause to say no? Terrorist?
You're a dickhead and I'm going to kill you?
Yeah, you're terrorist.
No, I don't know what it was. Yeah. I mean, they didn't grant his
I'm glad, yeah, but I'm just trying to think legally.
But yeah, he wanted to put up I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Probably because he's a terrorist, he loses all right. I don't know.
If we're taking Robert E. Lee plaques down, we should take.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right? But anyway, so a couple things that we wanted to bring up with this story is one, He was a radical Islamic terrorist, so I think that's worth noting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we had President Trump kind of jump on this right away, right after it happened, and I think that the order of his tweets is kind of telling.
Yep.
And the very first thing that he tweets out right when he hears about it is, in New York City, looks like another attack by a very sick and deranged person. Law enforcement is following closely. All caps, not in the USA. And then after that, he tweets, "We must not allow ISIS to return or enter our country after defeating them in the Middle East and elsewhere. Enough," with an exclamation point. Yep. And then after that, he tweets out saying, like, thoughts and prayers with the families and those suffered in the New York City attack. That one probably should have been first. But so here's the thing. I don't really necessarily have a problem with kind of what he's tweeting out there.
Yeah.
But I don't think the timing is very good. And as we've talked about with gun control many times, it's never the right time right after a tragedy or something terrible happens to start instantly talking about policy discussion. Right. I mean, this was the biggest attack in New York City since 9/11. Of course, the New York City mayor, Bill de Blasio, was blasting Trump for not supporting him and saying that, the first thing that George Bush did after 9/11 was reach out to the senator and the mayor of New York and say if there's anything we can do. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's kind of a more presidential response. But that's not Trump. Everyone knows that's not Trump.
Shouldn't be Trump, though. I don't know if we should lower the standard.
No, I definitely don't think you should lower the standard. But that's obviously not what he did. And I think it definitely drives striking parallels between tactics of both sides and how a lot of these tactics have really become super similar, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, using a tragedy to kind of start talking about policies, even if they're policies that I may agree on, that I think are probably good, because he talks specifically about the visa lottery program.
Right, he wanted to end that because this guy got in on a legal visa.
Through the visa lottery program, which I think the visa lottery program is really dumb anyways. I think a merit-based system makes a lot of sense. The people of the United States absolutely have the right to pick and choose who comes into the country.
Correct. I would agree with that.
However, I think that would be a great thing to bring up maybe a week after this and then say, hey guys, we want to push this anyways. There's enough reasons to push for a merit-based system and not just a random lottery-based system anyways. So I think it's just better. It's more respectful to kind of to wait a little bit, respect the people who underwent this horrible tragedy, and then get political with it days, a week later.
Yeah, and that's why we want to talk about this, because it's the massive blind spots that everyone seems to have on, well, if it's my side, we can do no wrong, but they can do everything wrong. And it's like, you usually see with terrorist attacks with weapons, firearms, assault rifles, whatever, you're immediately going to see the left call for gun control. We saw it in Vegas. You saw people in Florida bringing forward bans. People wanted to ban the bump stock. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that happens immediately after, and then the right is like, why are you politicizing this? It's not about the gun, it's about the person. And then as soon as this happens, you have the people on the right saying, okay, we need to immediately turn this into immigration talk. Yeah. And it's like both sides, they can't see that they do the same thing. Yeah. And it's a problem because it's like everyone's so buried deep in the trenches of their corner that they can't see over the side. Yeah. And it's super frustrating because it's like, I agree with you. Like in this instance, I agree with people on the left. Because I do think it's messed up to make it political this quickly. Yeah. But then on the other side, that was on the right side. Yeah. And it's like, and then like right now, the right would like, they're hating anyone that says that it's ridiculous, and then it's the opposite when it's a gun thing. And it's like, you can't win because you're always just going to be demonized with the other side until you're on their side. Yeah. And then the side you were on is going to start demonizing you. And it's like, why can't we have the nice little middle part where we say, hey, let's maybe not talk about politics a couple days after. Let's give it a couple weeks. Let's maybe reach out to the freaking people that actually got injured and see what we can do to help. Absolutely. And it's super frustrating.
No one's intellectually honest anymore. And the same people too, like on the left, who are attacking Trump for this, it's like, yeah, I agree with you, but then wait, all I have to do is
you
go
hold
back
yourself to the same
last
standard
month when they were talking about gun control after the Vegas shooting. It's like, okay, well, hypocrite. Yeah. So I mean, it's a big problem, and like I said, man, I mean, I just don't really get it. I don't understand why.
I do. It's because people just don't care. I mean, you want sound bites and you want.
Yeah, no, I think so. And honestly, I think it's politically is probably a good move on Trump. Kind of like the NFL thing politically worked out in Trump's favor.
Well, that's the problem, right? You're gonna have people decide that this is a bad thing, not the politicians to decide not to do this. You're gonna have to see it not be useful. Yeah. Because I still think, he definitely gained political points by doing this on his side. It's like if the people on the right didn't tolerate this, and if everyone hit Trump on this, then I'm sure he would stop, because they're only doing it for popularity to get
Yeah.
whatever brownie points or whatever. And then if you had one that was you had people on the left and right saying, hey, sure, gun control is a problem, but let's not talk about it right now.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. I'll just be like, okay, listen, I might agree with you, I might not. Doesn't matter. Now is not the time to discuss it.
Yeah,
and I think you'd see them stop doing it.
Absolutely, and that's what's frustrating, because I would love to be talking about in this story right now how, okay, Trump handled this great, and by the way, I agree with this policy that he's pushed 5 days later or something like that. Like, that would be a great thing to do. But another problem with this is ending the Visa lottery program wouldn't have even necessarily stopped this attack. And then just to be completely intellectually honest about this, once again, I don't like the Visa lottery program, but there's over millions of people who have come in the country through that Visa lottery program, and one person did something. I mean, by a statistical standpoint, it's minute. It doesn't. Yeah. It would be factored.
It'd be the outlier
you
get rid of.
Completely out. Absolutely. Yeah. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't get rid of the system, though, because the system is just garbage anyways. I think the system is dumb because it doesn't account for people coming in who really care about assimilating into American culture or doing anything good for the economy. I think should be much more based on that than the safety of the people, where I think it's kind of irrelevant towards that. I don't think it really changes that much based on the safety of the people, because once again, this guy had a completely clean record. The only thing that he had were a couple traffic tickets. I mean,
but the FBI had said that they were investigating him on a separate
because he had apparently talked associated with some people on a terrorist watch list. But
seems like a red flag.
Yeah, that seems like a red flag. But he was essentially clean for 6 years. He'd been here for 8 years, and then the last 2 years they were kind of looking into him a little bit.
And you gotta go innocent until proven guilty. That's just the standard we have to keep. Like, we can't make too many assumptions about people, because then you're starting to restrict people. Yeah. And you're going to incorrectly assume you're bound to do it. Yeah. But I agree. Like, you agree with the destination, but not the path there. Like, yes, that is something that needs to be talked about. But I don't think this is the reason to back that up or why you should push for this right now.
And then it's disingenuous to say that getting rid of this policy or promoting my immigration ban or whatever you want to call it would have stopped this.
Right.
Because it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But once again, I completely support it.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, but not for that reason. It's like when the person did the shooting in Vegas, and then Hillary starts talking about silencers,
and it's like it wasn't used.
No, that's not connected at all.
Yeah, you can want silencers gone, but to say that this is a reason to back the reason to get rid of silencers, it's like that's just not even.
It's not right at all. If you're gonna propose a policy and say that it's gonna fix the problem, it should fix the problem, not just be this kind of unrelated thing over here that you just want to pass.
Which is the big problem we've always had with the assault weapons ban, because we've had it before and it didn't do anything. We had it under Bill Clinton. Literally nothing happened. No change in gun violence because, hey, surprise, they're not used often. Yeah. And it's super annoying. And it's like doesn't matter, because what matters is the headlines and the holy crap, the hysteria that the media can drum up and politicians can drum up on their fan base, and the hatred they can drum up on the opposite fan base by just saying one tweet.
And it's got to change. This whole culture around politics in the United States has got to change from the bottom up. It's not going to change from the top down at all, because I mean the people who are running our government in the political positions they are ambitious people, right? They're after power, they're after control. That's not necessarily a bad thing to be ambitious, but you have to have a pretty big ego. You have to be out there wanting to conquer the world if you're going to be even in the Senate or the president or anything like that. So obviously I put the fault on them because they're doing it, but as the people electing the representative minority, we should kind of understand that and dictate to them what is okay, because as we continue electing the exact same senators for decades, man. Yes. People have been in there since the 80s and 90s. How do you blame them? It's like a company that you don't like, but you keep buying their products over and over and over again. Well, they're going to keep doing the same stuff because they keep getting
paid,
put back in office.
I totally agree. And it is going to happen at a cultural level. And you've seen it. History. Parties have changed. What they're pushing has changed based on societal changes, because at the end of the day, it is the people. We're a republic. It's people. Yeah. You elect people based on what you think. So if you're changing what you think, you're not going to elect the same people. Yeah. And they're going to want to get rid of it.
And we can do better, and we need to do better.
Oh, we can do better. The message pretty much everywhere.
There you go. Yeah. Someone else who can do better. Yeah. Kevin Spacey here is the next Hollywood elite.
So there's kind of just been a meltdown in Hollywood of after the Weinstein crap. It's just been accusation after accusation of like so many people, mostly producers and stuff. You've seen people on the back and people that have a lot of power in green lighting movies and getting roles. But this was actually came out last week of Kevin Spacey being accused of I don't know what we were like sexual.
People were calling it sexual harassment, but it's not
It's
sexual
kind of-
harassment at all. It would be at best sexual assault.
Yeah.
At worst,
Just sexual inappropriateness
molestation
with a 14-year-old
with a
when he
14-year-old
was
boy,
over
yeah.
18.
Yeah.
This was like 30 years ago. But the weirdest thing
He's
about
an
it
old
to
guy.
me personally was his statement. So this happened. A man, actor and a play
Actor
actor,
and play,
yeah,
yeah.
or something, came out and said, "Hey, this happened a long time ago when I was 14. I had just come up and Spacey invited me to a party."
Hold on. Who
Weird,
invites
right?
a 14-year-old to
Yeah.
hey guys, we're having this kick butt party at my house, man. It's gonna be totally
Get the
turn up. Get the
14-year-old.
14-year-olds over here. Like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah, and then so the 14-year-old, the guy that was 14, said that he was uncomfortable at the party. A lot of people were drunk, and he asked to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
Or he kind of was hanging out by himself, and then Spacey came up to him and was being inappropriate with him or whatever.
Apparently picked him up, put him on his bed, and
Yeah, so
got
what-
on
yeah.
top of him.
Yeah, he said he picked him up, put him on his bed, and was being sexual with him or whatever, and he was like,
Yeah.
no. And there was nothing like any more than that, right?
He was
Casey-
able to get away.
Yeah,
I
he
think
was
is
able.
what
He said he was able to get away. But the weird thing to me, like I said, was Kevin Spacey's statement, which he made on what was it, Instagram? Put out a post.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
might have, on
it was,
Instagram.
or
looks like.
Twitter, I think.
Okay.
So what he said was, I have a lot of respect and admiration for Anthony Rapp as an actor. I'm beyond horrified to hear his story. I honestly do not remember the encounter. It would have been over 30 years ago. But if I did behave then, as he describes, I owe him the sincerest apology for what I did and would have been. I owe him the sincerest apology for what would have been deeply inappropriate drunken behavior, and I am sorry for the feelings he describes having carried with him all these years. This story has encouraged me to address other things about my life. I know that there are stories out there about me, and have some have been fueled by the fact that I have been so protective with my privacy. As those closest to me know, in my life I have had relationships with both men and women. I have loved and had romantic encounters with men throughout my life, and I choose now to live as a gay man. I want to deal with this honestly and openly, and that starts with examining my own behavior. So we had
What I get out of that is Kevin Spacey's gay, man.
Right?
Congratulations for him. He's free finally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
good.
so
good job,
weird.
Kevin.
So you saw the first part of it where he's saying, "Oh, I can't believe I did that. I don't remember. It was just drunken behavior. I'm sorry." I don't think that you can't drunkenly.
First of all, that's a horrible freaking response.
Yeah.
Like, most people are like, no, I don't. Like, these accusations are false. That's
Yeah.
not true. But he's like, well, I mean, it was like 30 years ago.
I
I don't know if
was-
I did or not. I was drunk. So.
Yeah, so I'm sorry if I did.
I don't
I'm
know
sorry
if
if
I
I molested
molested
a
that
14-year-old.
14-year-old boy.
Yeah,
I was
like that's
drunk,
messed
man.
up. And then it's the quick side to, oh, by the way, guys, I'm gay. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that. And then you saw media picking up on the gay thing. And I'm like, what is going
Some
on?
of
That's
those
not the
headlines
important
coming
part.
out were like Kevin Spacey announces that he's gay.
Yeah,
and
and it's like,
oh,
you
you
missed the whole
thing.
point.
Yeah.
Dude, I am convinced Frank Underwood from House of Cards is the actual person and Kevin Spacey's the character. Because this was a Frank move.
Yeah.
Freaking-
totally, dude.
Admit, kind of, but not really, and then pivot
Yeah.
to, hey, by the way, guys, I'm gay. And then you saw a lot of people in the gay community coming out and saying, whoa, why are you associating these things?
We don't want this guy.
There's no connection with molesting 14-year-old boys and being gay. You might as well have said he changed his favorite color to purple.
Yeah.
Like, they're not connected in any way. And so that was really weird to me. And now you've seen a couple of people come out with allegations.
Yeah.
You've seen House of Cards. They had said that season 6 was their last season.
Netflix announced
Had
that.
a while ago. But then now this week they've announced that they've suspended the filming because they're still filming it currently.
Okay.
Indefinitely. They've suspended filming. They haven't canceled it, but suspended indefinitely. It's pretty bad. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going back, which sucks.
Especially as more people kind of come out.
Right. If
like
more
we
people
saw.
do. I mean, so what we know is he had an inappropriate thing with a 14-year-old. We also have seen kind of people have now dug back into the history of Hollywood, and there's been odd
People
things.
have known. Well, he talks about how close friends of mine have known I've had relationships with both men and women.
But what about the
But-
kids?
Yeah, kids.
Yeah, that's
Those are close
that's the
friends.
problem. Like,
But also, it was kind of known
That's what I'm
around
saying.
Hollywood as well. Like, we had Seth MacFarlane,
There's a
creator of
family-
Family Guy.
there was a Family Guy little skit of Stewie running down saying, "I just got out of Kevin Spacey's basement."
Yeah, Stewie's the baby in the show. And,
Yeah.
like, that's freaking hysterical. That happened, like, back in 2005. Then apparently you had Rosie O'Donnell. Who,
Yeah,
gosh,
she said she had
freaking
heard
hell.
it or something.
Yeah, she was like, oh, I knew about this all along. And people were like, well, why didn't you say anything then?
And she's like, "Oh, I didn't really." You heard rumblings.
Wasn't enough evidence. Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
heard rumblings. But, I
And
mean,
so it sounds damning, and that sucks.
absolutely it
like,
does.
and I don't know, like, what's the statute of limitations on this? If it was 30 years ago, I have no idea.
Yeah, if you can still, like if you can still kind of press charges or
right.
have
Like
tort
it's
law
just
30
messed
years
up,
ago.
and it sucks with Kevin Spacey. Well, not only because I like House of Cards and I want to see how it freaking ends, and I'm really sad now that it's not. I'm probably not going to get an ending, and the show's so complex that like I probably couldn't even fathom how they were going to end it. You know, like I wouldn't expect the way
Lost
they were going to end it. Yeah, Lost Style. So that kind of sucks. But at the same time, like I would want Kevin Spacey to be reprimanded. Like there needs to be repercussions to this, right? But I don't know how there's going to be.
Also, yeah, no, I totally agree. And this brings up another point, and not to defend Kevin Spacey at all, but I feel like we're almost kind of getting close to a point where it's guilty until proven innocent, almost. Especially with sexual allegations. And once again, I believe that Kevin Spacey probably did this, especially because he didn't deny it in any way at all. But it's getting to the point now where you can kind of say that someone sexually assaulted you or harassed you, and whether you did or not, it can ruin you completely. Like imagine if he didn't do this and he was like, wait, no, this didn't happen at all. I never had this. And then maybe a couple other people who saw an opportunity to make some money and sue him came out and said something, and then his hit show is ruined. And once again, I don't think that's the case at all with this, but it's kind of dangerous and sets some kind of precedence, at least in the eyes of the public, to where you can really almost be guilty until proven innocent. And that's why I think kind of due process is so important. And if he is guilty, that's great. Let's, have some of these people press some charges against him. We can convict him with something
right away.
And if he's guilty of this, throw his freaking butt in jail. That's fine with me. He deserves it. But I think that system in place is super, super important.
Plus, I mean, it's Hollywood. I think it's going to be hard to get any of these people to be in jail for any big amount of time with it being Hollywood, And it's really gross that it's like now you're hearing not only of this thing happening with people that we know, well, people don't know, people we know as well, but then you're also hearing everyone else being like, oh yeah, I kind of knew that.
Yeah, I
like
knew
you
that.
kind of knew this.
Yeah,
like people like you kind of knew Kevin Spacey did kids. You kind of knew Weinstein molested girls. There's that other gross guy that was doing. I forget his name now, but he was like masturbating in front of girls and stuff, trying to get them places. So you kind of knew that as well, and it's like you knew kind of all these things.
Why aren't you saying?
And you're
anything?
yelling at the president that said one bad word.
Yeah,
like fix yourselves, man. This is gross. You were hiding all of this from everybody.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
It's sick, man, and I think that this is gonna kind of continue to happen in throughout Hollywood.
Dude, it is like an avalanche now.
Dude, it really is. And
well, honestly, what's gonna happen in a year?
Well, dude, what I was wondering, I was reading an article, and they were saying, when do you think this stuff is gonna hit DC at all? Because there's some major slime bags in DC, dude. Like, it would be interesting to see if any of this kind of stuff starts getting leaked or starts happening in Washington at all. Because, I mean, Hollywood's pretty freaking elite. Washington, D.C., obviously pretty elite.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when that infiltrates, if it does, into that arena. But I think we're definitely seeing a sickness that's all throughout Hollywood that everyone's kind of known. It's been happening for decades. Yeah. Decades and decades.
It's not a new joke, or it's not a new thing to talk about. I mean, it's always they do stuff to get into movies.
But it's really depressing that a lot of these people haven't stepped up and said things earlier. And we've kind of talked about this a little bit before. You can understand if it's a young up-and-coming actor, it still doesn't make it morally right for them to not say anything, but it's definitely more excusable and understandable. But these people, like, if you're a Matt Damon, if you're a George Clooney, if you're a Rosie O'Donnell, and you know this kind of stuff is happening and you don't say anything, that's bad, man. I mean, that's borderline complicit in the act of what he's doing.
It's and especially when it's like I'm not I don't want to like weight these, but like children, like if you kind of knew he did stuff with children, that's like I think that you should even come forward more. Like,
gosh,
what the heck?
Dude. Anyone who does anything like that should death penalty.
Yeah, no I'm not opposed to that.
Not opposed to that in any way.
And the only thing that does kind of stuck with these floodgates being open, and I think that we're moving on. Like quickly between people, Like
because the next one comes up.
Yeah, it's
and
like
months from now we're gonna be like, wait, Kevin, what happened?
And so it's like I want and I know courts move slow, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna be long and drawn out, and you're probably not gonna see jail time. The majority of these people, I can't imagine. I don't know. Maybe because especially like Weinstein, there's been so many. Yeah. But I don't even think Bill Cosby's in jail yet. And that was an insane amount. He's like the #1 serial rapist of all time. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like he's not even in jail yet. So I don't know what hope there is. But really with Hollywood especially, it's got to clean itself, which sucks because I don't really trust them.
See that happening at all.
They should probably put out like a nice video, black and white, telling me what to think.
Should make an ad.
They should make an ad. No, but they need to clean this up because we can't clean it up, and they know if they have all these. You got to know there's more people that they kind of know about, and so you kind of just hope this all gets put forward. And the optimist part of myself, the very small part of me that's an optimist, is like, good.
That 1%.
We're airing out the dirty laundry, and we're just gonna clean house.
Yeah, man, we're gonna get great new moral, super ethical, awesome people in Hollywood now.
Oh yeah, totally. It breeds that actually in Hollywood. It's very well known for breeding that. But yeah, I mean, Kevin, that sucks, man. And I liked Kevin Spacey in House of Cards. He's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
but I do think Kevin Spacey
played that character so well, man. Because his last point on this, his brother had kind of come out and talked about how his father had sexually abused them and physically abused them as children. And I don't think he was necessarily making an excuse for Kevin, because he made it kind of seem like, listen, my brother's sick. This kind of stuff has been going on for a while.
Like, yeah, he is sick.
But to kind of play into that, I think that has a much bigger role with him being possibly a pedophile than the fact that he was gay, like you were saying.
Yeah,
like the gay community is like, wait, no, this isn't correlated at all.
Like, why are you throwing us in here? Like, we don't want to be, because it come on.
There's studies that definitely show that sexual parents and stuff like that being sexually assaulting their children and stuff totally messes people up sexually. A lot of pedophiles, or because their parents sexually abuse them as children and stuff like that. That has a much bigger role.
It's just a gross reality.
It's super messed up, man. And who knows who's going to be next? Honestly, at this point, like, it could really be anyone. And I wouldn't be surprised about pretty much anyone in Hollywood right now. I can't think of anyone I would be like, wow.
I kind of don't think highly of any of them.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up the main topic this week. Be sure and tell us what you think below, and we're going to move right into What Triggered Us. All right, guys, we're going to finish off the show in our last segment, as we always do, which, of course, is the What Triggered Us. This is the part of the show where we replace all logical and rational thinking and replace it only with emotion. And, Seth, what triggered you this week, man?
Interesting story.
What are one of the things that triggered you this week?
So a while back, we did a video on Evergreen State College.
Yeah.
Evergreen State College and the craziness that went down there. Was it earlier this year?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it was. I think it was back in like March or something.
And the school is still kind of in turmoil. Brett Weinstein has left, obviously, and I mean, there's videos that came out of the students basically just taking over the college, and then in a recent, I guess, talk or whatever, the president came out and was talking about how he suffered trauma from this, and this is the same president that bowed to their knees.
To the students' knees.
Yes, when everything was going on. He didn't have a backbone. He gave into the demand.
It was awful. If you haven't seen the video, do a little bit of research on Evergreen College, or watch our video. The link is in the description below. It was just crazy.
He had the ability to stop this before it got bad.
Oh, yeah.
And even to just back Brett. I mean, the school turned on Brett Weinstein, who was the heart of it all, because he didn't want to leave. He didn't like being told he wasn't allowed to be at school because he was white. Crazy thing, right?
Crazy
doesn't
teachers,
like racist.
Teachers should be at the school.
So anyway, the statement by the president reads as this: "Something wasn't working quite right. I just didn't feel right." He said that he's still talking to a psychologist, trying to work it out, and how his head's not in the right place now, and that. But what he says is the reasoning is that the exposure of your personal character to vilification is the hardest piece. That's where the trauma comes from. For me, at least. It wasn't the students. I really believe that.
Oh, it wasn't the students
screaming? As someone that probably you could say has contributed to the vilification of his character, in just that I think he's kind of spineless, I can't believe you're still making excuses for the students. Like, you can see in video, we have videos of them yelling at him to say certain words, to not have his hands up because they're microaggressives, dictating every piece of his word, being super disrespectful. He is the president of the school, and them telling him, no, you're gonna have to tell all the teachers we're not going to class. Just taking full advantage of him, and him just giving into these demands,
bowing down into every need.
Right, and then now to say that the trauma is because, well, everyone got to see me for what I am, and that's the problem. It's like, no, the problem was the students.
Yeah.
Like, there shouldn't be an issue with people seeing how you are unless you're a horrible person.
Yeah.
Like, if you're mad at being exposed for what you are,
yeah,
I don't
like. Yes, you should have stood up and said something, but it's the student or stopped it. But it's the student's fault initially
that you were
for
even
acting
in that
way.
situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that we've seen who you are, I'm going to vilify you even more because you're super spineless and have no balls. Yeah, but it's the student's fault in the first place.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, it sucks, and I feel bad because I don't want mental trauma on anyone, but I can't understand the moving of the blame this much. Like, holy crap, man, just take responsibility that you kind of let it get out of control.
Still the president of this college, man.
Well, this college, I mean, it's kind of just they basically just they kicked Brett out and then just buttoned down all the hashes, and now they're just like, we're not gonna let go. I mean,
yeah.
I've heard though, and they were talking about it recently on a Rogan podcast about how what is it attendance or what, like the
attendance
amount
of the college.
Yeah, is very low.
Yeah.
Funding is getting low. They're trying to cut funding. I'm like,
Oh,
these are repercussions that need to happen when something like this happens, because it was absolutely insane.
Who's going to want to send their kid to a college where literally the students are running it? There's no teacher.
They literally had packs of students walking around school being like police with batons.
It's insane.
Checking cars that people were driving by, looking for Brett. Like, what were they supposed to do when they got
They
him?
were probably checking the cars because the cars were going to run them down, right?
Probably, and then the president. I mean, it's the car's fault.
Yeah,
he's messed up in the head. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the article that he did with the Chronicle, he was saying he's a broken man or whatever, and it's like, yeah, probably, but I kind of think it's kind of his fault, and he had the power to stop this, or to actually, like, he could have made such a difference. I think if he did be like, no, like, this is not gonna happen. Like, they stormed into his office and wouldn't let him leave. Like, he wasn't allowed. They wouldn't let him go to the bathroom by himself. They had to escort him to the bathroom.
He called the police, told him to stand down. I have no sympathy for this.
No,
he brought it on himself.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm sorry that you feel vilified, but really we just all saw you for what you are, and when push comes to shove, you basically
could have fixed it. And by the way, you still can fix it. You're still the president, but
no, it's not. I mean, it wasn't the students. Like, it's not the students' fault.
There's nothing to fix.
Yeah,
it's everyone else.
So anyway, what triggered you this week?
Yes. So this was glorious, man. So this is an ad put out by the Latino Victory Fund, and there's a race going on in Virginia. The Republican representative in Virginia right now is Ed Gillespie.
Okay.
Ed Gillespie, yes, I said that right. There it is. And so I'm just going to kind of play this ad. It's about a minute long. You can watch it, and quite frankly, it's pretty freaking ridiculous. Here it is.
Is this what Donald Trump and Ed Gillespie mean by the American dream? Latino Victory Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
Is that what they mean by the American dream?
Wow.
I mean,
that is... I have no words.
First of all, no. No, that is not what they mean by the American dream.
The American dream is the ability for you to make that ad and not go to jail.
Yeah, there you go. That's the American dream. But yeah, no, this is insane, man. Like, who... He checks off all the boxes, man. He's got a truck. He's this white guy driving around.
That sounds like you.
He's got the Confederate flag, man. Yeah, no. He's got the "Don't Tread on Me."
It's on your shirt there.
Yeah, this is oppressive somehow, even though liberating. Yeah. But yeah, man, like he's literally just chasing the kids, and you have everyone, man.
They checked off all the minorities.
Yeah, you got the Hispanic kid, you've got the black kid, you've got the Muslim girl running around.
Not Muslim,
else.
Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern. I'm sorry.
Freaking
American or Arabic American, whatever that. Yeah. Anyways, you got everything in there, and he's chasing him. Driving. First of all, scenario one: never run down an alley if you're being chased.
Unless it's smaller than the vehicle that you're being chased by.
Yeah, there you go. Not smart.
They also ran by a lot of buildings.
Could have probably gone in. But no, this ad is completely ridiculous, dude. And they were totally serious at the end of that thing, man. Saying that Donald Trump promotes this and that Ed Gillespie promote this. And no, he's come out and said, like, what the heck is this about? And
I do not promote running kids.
Yeah, right? And as of now, the candidate who is running against him hasn't condemned this at all. That probably would have been politically smart for him to do, because honestly, I'm sure the vast majority of Democrats who would support that other candidate would be like, come on, guys, this commercial
is over
pretty ridiculous.
Top.
I mean,
Holy
come on. At least I would like to think that, and I believe that's true. But this is crazy, man. And I believe that the people who made this commercial honestly think
Like,
that
we
Trump
nailed it.
is like,
We
yeah,
got
dude,
this.
like, oh, this was a great idea. But it goes into like how vilified extremes are on both sides, because if you believe that's the people that you're fighting against or in opposition towards, then yeah, call him a Nazi, punch him in the face if that's really what you think, and it's so twisted.
And like
dude.
Donald Trump
And
doesn't
it's
even own a
so-
truck, you know?
yeah.
It's clear he would have used like a tour bus or like Air Force One or his bigger plane that he
Exactly,
owns.
not really efficient. to
Not a
go
truck,
around in
dude.
that,
Come
yeah.
on. No, that's just it's
And what's super like horrible timing for this ad too, by the way, because this is what's going on in their
New
make believe
York.
world, and then you go over in reality, and
the
there's
chick's
actually
brother actually ran.
there's actually someone running someone.
Yeah,
over in a
it's
truck, which
just
is
bad
horrible.
all the way around, dude.
Yeah, dude, I just thought this was just absolutely ridiculous. And
What's their
I mean,
victory, man? Latino victory fund. They weren't
Yeah.
even all Latin in the video.
it doesn't matter. All minorities
And
are
white
Latinos
people versus white people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was insane,
Woo!
and you really just have
That
to
seems
laugh
like an
at it.
SNL skit. That
I
they
know
would've
you would
done.
think, right? But no.
I need to
it's
look
not.
into that
This
because I
is
can't
real.
believe that this is actually a thing. Like,
Yeah.
who greenlighted this?
Yeah.
This is a good idea, guys. We
This
nailed
is
it.
gonna get our person
Oh my
elected.
gosh, what is wrong with this freaking country?
A
man?
lot, good sir, a lot. And we're gonna end the show there on that wonderful positive
Yep.
note.
Don't forget to have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, if you missed it by now,
Yes.
you know. But tell us what you guys thought of this video in the comment section below. We love to hear from you guys. Be sure and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google Play, iTunes. Check out BeyondBorders.com. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up soon with Amazon merch.
Yep.
We're still just getting
Jeez.
ready to get qualified in the last steps of that, but we're going to be putting out some of our merch, some of our hats and shirts, or shirts out there for you guys to check out. So that's really exciting. And until next week, guys, always remember, stay informed.